All right, so I'm here. You could see me in there, right? All right. All right, so what I was trying to teach you was completing the square, okay? So like we started in that little video, I can add anything and kind of manipulate it to make a perfect square, okay? So for example, here's a little visual here. If I want to make something a perfect square, I have to figure out what I need to add to make it perfect, okay? So I'm gonna just skip to here. What I want you to write, so if I had a quadratic in standard form, right? It's ax squared plus bx plus c, right? This is your a, this is your b, this is your c, right? So I need to figure out what I can add to make this a perfect square. So what you're gonna do is you take half of b, right? You take b, divide by 2, and then you square it, okay? So half of b squared. So in this case, b is negative 14, right? So I take half of negative 14 is negative 7, right? And negative 7 squared is 49, right? It's always going to be positive, right? Because when you square a negative, even a negative. So you don't even have to worry about the sign so much because it's always going to be positive. Now, don't I have a nice perfectly factorable factors of 49 that give you 14 is going to be a 7 and a 7? So it's x minus 7, x minus 7. That's a perfect square, right? That's x minus 7 squared. All right, so that's how I know what I'm going to add to complete the square. And here's a little hint. Whatever half of b is, that's what's going to be inside your binomial. It's going to be a negative 7. All right? So that's what he was trying to say in that video, but it was just a very long version of that, right? Okay, so I'm going to move on. Okay, I'm going to post, these are the notes I'm going to post in Google Classroom. I'm not going to waste time right now going over that because I'm going to show you steps as we go. I'm going to show you physically how to do it. Okay, solve the equation by completing the square. Oops. Okay, so what first thing I want to do is I want to get all my x's on one side of the equation, right? So I'm going to subtract the 12 over to the left side, right? And then I have the negative 20, right? So that's my first step, which is, again, is listed in all the steps that I just showed you. I will post that in Google Classroom. Okay? The next thing I want to do is I'm going to set up, I'm going to have a little space here and a little space here, just so I can add what I need to add. Okay? So now, the beauty of this is that we can manipulate it to do whatever we want. However, the rules, you got to follow the rules, right? If I add something to one side, I have to add it to the other side, right? So what am I going to add? This is where half of b squared, right? So half of negative 12 is negative 6, right? And negative 6 squared is 36. So I'm going to add 36 here, and I'm going to add 36 there, right? Whatever you add to one side, you have to add to the other. Okay, now I can go ahead and factor this, right? How does this factor? No, I don't like that. I'll do it my own way. This factors, right? Factors of 36 that give you the 12. So it's going to be x minus 6, right? Equals 36 minus 20 is 16, right? So this, eventually you're probably going to just be skipping this step. And it's just going to know that it's going to be x minus 6 squared equals 16, right? Here's my little hint. Half of b is negative 6. That's what you're going to have in here, right? Okay, and now I can go ahead and solve using the square root property, which is what we did the other day, right? So let me go switch colors. I take the square root of both sides, right? So I get x minus 6 equals positive or negative 4, right? Square root of both sides. And then I'm going to add the 6. 6 plus minus 4. So 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 minus 4 is 2. So my solutions are x equals 10, x equals 2. Yeah? Okay. I'm going to do one more for you. I would have you guys practice, but let me just finish the video for them. So we have 5 minutes. Let me do one more for you here. So again, my step one, I'm going to do it again just so everybody sees it, is to get my x's all on one side of the equation, right? And I'm going to put it in order. I want the x squared first, right? Plus 6x is going to be plus something, right? Equals 15 plus whatever that something is, okay? How do I know what I'm going to add? Half of 6 is 3, and 3 squared is 9, okay? And then I'm going to factor this, right? This is going to factor. What is it going to be? It's going to be x plus 3 squared, right? X plus 3 times x plus 3 equals, what's this, 24, right? So now look, what's going to happen here? You're not going to have a nice perfect, square root there, okay? So what do I have to do? I take square root of both sides, right? So I have x plus 3 equals positive or negative the square root of 24, which we're going to have to simplify, right? Let's do that at the end, right? So again, I got to isolate my x, so I'm going to subtract this here. So I have x equals negative 3 plus minus square root of 24. So how do we simplify this? What's the square root? Let's go over here. The square root of 24 simplifies to what? You could break it down to what? 8 and 3. I'm glad you said that, but 8 and 3, neither one of them is a perfect square, so that's not going to help you. What else? 6 and 4, right? Radical 4 times radical 6, right? So that's 2 radical 6. Is that in the video? Can you see me in the video here? All right, thank you. So that means I have negative 3 plus 2 radical 6, right? Negative 3 minus 2 radical 6. So depending on the problem, if I say round to decimal, round to nearest tenths or hundredths, then you would just pop this in your calculator and you get the decimal, right? So you're going to get a positive, a negative, right? And you have to just see what it is if I ask for a decimal. But I would also even accept this, or even accept it like this, negative 3 plus minus 2 radical 6. I would accept that also, okay? So unless it specifically asks for a decimal, you don't have to make it a decimal. All right, so I'm gonna just stop this here because if the video is too long, it takes forever to upload, and then I'm gonna give you some practice, and hopefully our internet will be better. Bye.